if you're passionate about everything, then you're not investing really in anything. You're investing a little piece of yourself into every little thing that you do.
Being able to answer, well, if I could have anything I wanted in this business or in this work, what would bring fulfillment? You've got to not forget that.
Understand that the stuff that you're doing that you don't love doing is a lot easier to digest if you're doing it within the context of building towards what you actually want to be doing. And if you forget that, then you start to get discouraged.
On episode 354 of the podcast, we are talking about the importance of your why. What is up, my friend? I'm Ryan Corl, your host of the Grow Your Video Business Show, and I am thrilled that you're with me. You know what? I just thought of this. I think one of these episodes, I got to get one of my kids to come down here and do this intro because they tend to mock me. Yeah, my kids, they love me to pieces, so much so that they mock me. And they do a pretty good impression, actually, of this intro for this show. Anyway, I'm super excited that you're here. Thank you. If you're new, welcome. I've been in the video production industry, running my own production business for 19 years. We've got a team. We have a production studio in just about 45 minutes north of Detroit, and we do primarily brand films. We work with all sorts of businesses, and now getting into the higher ed space where we're doing higher ed storytelling. And I've learned a lot of lessons through having employees and being on the brink of bankruptcy and also landing six-figure contracts and hitting $1 million in revenue. You know, I've experienced the roller coaster of running a business, and it is a good time. So on this show, I share a lot of my learnings, for better or for worse, and hope that as you are investing in yourself and in your own video business, that there would be some nuggets in here that you'd be able to take away and apply to your business and grow. So if you're in a spot where you want to get some of your time back as a business owner, I just launched a new resource using AI, and really I'm sharing my best resources, my favorite apps in the AI space that are working to save me a lot of time and do things that we just haven't been able to do in the past because of lack of time or expertise. It is amazing how smart some of this AI stuff is and how fast it can do stuff. So you can get access to this list of resources if you go to studiosherpas.com/AI. It's studiosherpas.com/AI, and it's just a Google document that I've created, but there is a pretty extensive list in there. I also asked people in the Studio Sherpas community what AI tools they were using, so I've listed those in there as well, but you get like my top 6 and all of the other ones that are in there too for shooting, planning, editing, business things, all things with the intention of helping you save time, make more money, and do better work for you, for your clients. So check that out. And without any further ado, let's get into today's episode. What's up, friends? Welcome to another episode of the show. Today, I've got with me Jeremy Thibodeau, who is a partner at Rubicon. They're a video production agency, and they're also working on a new software product that is specifically for, at least right now, it's going to be targeted for video people, which we'll dive into. He is, I'll say, a fellow French Canadian. I'm not sure how many of you know that I have French Canadian blood running through these veins, but I sort of feel like we're brothers from another mother or something like that. But anyway, Jeremy, you do look very Canadian with the mustache and obviously with the accent. But welcome to the show. Super glad to have you.
Thank you very much. And I actually, we do look a little bit similar too, I find. So, like physically. So yeah, maybe we are related. Maybe we are actually related. Brothers from another mother.
You never know. So anyway, dude, you've got quite a resume. I have to give Josh Emmerich a shout out because the previous episode that I just recorded, he made an introduction there, made an introduction to you. So Josh is the man, and super appreciate him making the introduction. But dude, you guys have done some pretty impressive work at your studio. Share a little bit about the studio. What are you guys doing? Like, what's your main focus, and what do you love about the work that you get to do?
So yeah, what do we do? There's two sides of the business. One is focused on internal comms. I think, especially during the pandemic, video became a bigger part of how companies, especially larger companies, have to communicate with their employee base. So any company that's over like 1,500 employees, all the way up to our largest customer is 90,000 employees in North America. So they leverage not only video, but just storytelling in general. Helps with retention, helps with getting employees more engaged. And especially during the time where it was the Great Resignation, where a lot of people were kind of rethinking their lives and stuff. So company culture became a focus for a lot of companies. And also, just like all the budgets that they had for like live events and travel and so on and so forth, they weren't really able to use them. So where did they go? And I'm sure I'm not the only one who can say that, our video business kind of changed in the pandemic. And then we've sort of been running with that ever since. And then on the other side, we do what your typical video production company does, which is, we like to work directly with clients. We also work through some agencies, depending. But it's become a lot more of a kind of like consulting, remote sort of thing. We do, outsource most of the work that we do from a technical and production perspective. So when I say remote, it's more like working with companies that are not based where we're based. Like in fact, like I'm based in Montreal. Our two biggest clients are in New York, and then our other two big clients are in Toronto. And so we actually like don't have. And then we are like then sometimes we'll do shoots for other agencies that need a representation in Montreal for a given, period of time. But the point is, like, it's very globalized now. And, people hire who they trust. And, especially with larger clients, like they'll travel people that they trust, over hiring locally, if you're able to build that relationship. So that's it. So, providing the right experience, making sure that you're kind of like a creative thought leader, and sort of, being that a single touch experience for clients, and who can approach you with a problem, and you're not only providing technical services, but actually, leading the charge, and being a solution for them, and even identifying problems that they don't recognize that they have until you bring it up. I think the game is becoming a lot more of a consulting first sort of. And I'm sure you've touched on this with other guests, but that's where really we used to do music videos and ads for small businesses and stuff, and that's kind of where I learned to become more of a consultant when the whole game changed. And so that's Rubicon now. And we don't even say we're a video production company anymore. We just say we're a creative company, creative agency. Yeah, even though like 95% of what we do is video. Yeah.
Video / consulting. So in the work that you guys are doing, like what's your specific role, and like what's your favorite part about what you get to do?
Yeah. So the specific role for what I do, because we're a few producers in the agency, but what I do essentially is just there are all kinds of different people and teams in the companies that I work with who they generally come to me when they want some kind of media produced. Sometimes they have an idea of what they want. Other times they have, some mandate that they receive from above them. Other times it's directly with executives. But really, like, the idea is, honestly, like I'm almost considered to be like an employee of the company, almost. Like, I'm not employed by the company, but we're sort of like the partner. And so, when you're an employee of a company, like, you have your role, but if someone asks you to do something, you do it anyway, because you're part of that organization. So it's again, like, it's flexible. It's just kind of, it's like especially when it comes to creativity, it's like these defined roles. It's a little bit hard to, if you're good at manipulating certain tools, or you leverage a very particular skill set and you're very, very good at that, that's one thing. But if you're a producer, essentially, it's the word producer. It's like that we have the word producer for a reason. It's that it's the umbrella term that encapsulates whatever it is that is. And there are some great people who, are dedicated to kind of educating people on what producers are and what producers actually do. But yeah, that's what I am. But I think that's what a lot of people are, especially in comms. In comms and marketing, like everyone's a producer, everyone's a problem solver or a problem identifier, problem finder. So yeah. So I guess what's my favorite part? My favorite part is creative conceptualization. Love coming up with. The way I think about it is there's kind of like 4 steps. Or 4 pillars. There's strategy, which is sort of understanding the problem space and identifying what the problems are. Creativity, which is coming up with a solution to the problem. There's execution, which is taking a solution and turning it into implementing the actual solution, or turning it into an implementable thing. And then rollout, which is actually exploiting the solution that exists in a tangible way. And so I don't do the first one and I don't do the last one. So I don't learn about the problem space. I think that's a whole particular skill set. And all 4 of these are marketing and comms, I would say. But the first one I don't do, and the last one I don't do. So I don't place ads and things like that, or even send emails out or whatever to the employee base. Because in internal comms, you're not placing ads, but you're sending assets, or you're displaying assets in front of the thousands of people that are going to receive them. So anyway, those are the 4. I do the 2. I do the creativity and execution, and that's what it says on our website: creativity and execution. Yeah, so that's it. And nice. I like the creativity, of course. We all like the creativity. Like everyone wants to be valued for their creativity, I think. Creatives want to be valued for their creativity.
Yeah, right. Which, yeah. I mean, to be honest, most of us that fall into this work, like that's where we come alive. Yeah. And then at some point realize like, oh, I got to keep, I got to make more money. And how do I do this more frequently? And
you get into it because you watched a great movie when you watched Scorsese or Kubrick when you were a kid, or else you saw, an Apple ad, that inspired you, or else, you fell in love with, whatever, Daft Punk. Like it always starts, I think, with the entertainment, and it kind of, touches something in us when we're young, and it sort of becomes a guiding star. And then you sort of start down that path, and then you get smacked in the face with the reality of the world, which is almost nobody is in a position where they're getting valued monetarily for their creative vision and ideas. Most of the time you're getting valued for your ability to, solve the problem for somebody, right, and do it in a way that provides as little headache as possible for the recipient of that service, right? So I think that's the majority of what makes you valuable in the market currently, is being able to solve problems and do it in a way where it's easy and seamless, right? Less about your ability to make people dream and then to touch people on an emotional level. It's very few, although many of us can do it. It's very few of us that are getting sought after and paid well to, for our ability to move and shake people, right? I think that's what I'm seeing anyway. Like maybe I'm a little bit cynical, but there's a certain privileged few, and how do you get there? Well, yeah, that's the big question. It's a large answer, and it's a good conversation to have. There are specific ways that you can get there. There's specific things that you need to do, I think. But it's not simple, or it's not straightforward, I think, because there are a lot of different ways you can. Anyway, so that's also part of what I'm passionate about, is just like, how do you get to the point where you're like living off of your passion truly? Because I think a lot of us enter the space passionate about something, and we kind of have to like let go of what our passion is so that we can do something a little bit more practical. And many of us just kind of can't ever find that spark again. But I like the idea of kind of like holding on to, keeping that spark alive, because keeping the spark alive. I don't want to forget why I got into it. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I think not forgetting why you got into it, and just trying to think through, like, being able to answer, well, if I could have anything I wanted in this business or in this work, what would it what would bring fulfillment. And if maybe it is like, I would love to create a full length feature film or a documentary or, something like that. You've got to not forget that, because I mean, over the course of years, you can work toward that. And you might not have the time to take off 6 months of work to do that, but maybe you have 30 minutes a week to chip away at it. And
it's discipline.
It's discipline.
It's making sure that you're ready when the opportunity comes. You want to have your, because like it's like what is the Sun Tzu says, the Art of War. I don't know if you know that book. But the point is that you have to be like water. Like a lot of people kind of feel that you've got to push. Sometimes it's smart to just stop pushing when you feel a lot of resistance and just sort of like work on something else in the meantime. We push it as far as it can go. And then once you feel like the ROI on your time and energy is starting to diminish, invest in something else, because the timing for that is just not optimal right now. And so, just put it there. But that's the point, is that you still have to kind of put stuff you need to push stuff as far along as it can go without burning yourself out, because you never know when an obstacle that, was there is just going to kind of disappear for whatever reason. And you want to be ready for when that happens. So I definitely believe in consistently pushing, your passion projects, I call them. Just, you should always have a couple. Well, you can't every week. And sometimes also like you just get, not only time wise, but you get burnt out like energy wise, just from doing more like the commercial stuff. But if you can, I definitely believe in developing your original projects, because you never know when you're going to meet the right person, or when the right funding is going to be made available, or maybe the right pocket of time with the right, location becomes available all of a sudden, or the right person, who knows? So, but if you don't do it because you don't think it's worth doing, then you'll get that opportunity and you'll be like, oh, I'm not ready for it.
It's like, oops.
Yeah.
I had a coaching call earlier this morning, and we were talking about this guy's business, and he's stuck. He's frustrated. He wants more leads. He wants higher paying clients. And I'm like, okay, well, like, just paint a picture for me. Like, what's an ideal client? And he couldn't. He's like, I like doing I like the creativity that comes with, every new opportunity. And I said, well, would you be open to not like having all sorts of creative options, but to say, hey, I'm going to become known for this industry in creating this kind of video. This is niching because
down.
if you can niche down like that, know exactly who it is that you're serving and what they need, you can become the expert in that space. You can become the most referred person, because most video companies they're most generalists. Instead of specializing in a specific niche, for a specific niche, or with a specific kind of video, they just do whatever comes their way, or they just reach out and like, hey, we do video production, and that's fine if you don't mind feast or famine. But if you want to build predictability in your business and consistency, and you want to create efficiencies and be more profitable, then you have to, I don't want to say make it boring, but you have to make it simpler.
Yeah. Well, and to speak to that, just to kind of like tie back to what we were saying, is like, also, that's the thing too, is like, you don't need to be particularly passionate about what it is that you're talking about. Because if you're trying directly, because, okay, I believe that in order to make good money off of doing what you're truly passionate about, people want to be passionate about the work that they're doing, that they're making money with, right? I believe that if you're going to make money doing something that you're passionate about, chances are a lot of other people are passionate about that kind of work too. And so you have to like invest into doing the work you're passionate about. And then that work has to become successful in order to attract people who will pay you to continue doing that work.
Yeah.
In order to invest in doing that, you have to have a sustainable cash cow, or else, sustainable business that allows you either the extra money or at least the time. So if you are on the feast or famine side, where, you're trying to find a way to, I'm passionate about everything. If you're passionate about everything, then you're not investing really in anything. You're you're investing a little piece of yourself into every little thing that you do. Like, there's something like, I love the idea of having one, Scorsese says this, one for them, one for me, one for them, one for me. That's like a famous thing that he says. So same thing. Part of your business is for the money. And so the thing to do is, now, when you're starting out, you don't necessarily know where you're going to niche down, right? Like, you need to find the place to niche down. It's like starting a business. You have to find an opportunity in the market. When you locate the opportunity in the market, you double down, triple down, and then you become the solution for that particular vertical or that particular niche. That allows you to not only make some money, but also spend less time and energy figuring out how you're going to make money, because it's twofold. One is you make more money, and the other is you spend less time to find out how you're going to make money. So overall, you're just making a lot more, you have a lot more bandwidth. What do you do with the extra bandwidth? You invest in doing the thing that you're passionate about. Right. But if you can't make that distinction and be like, this is, it doesn't mean that I don't love and care about the work I'm doing. It just means that it's not my raison d'être, right? To be my reason for being in this necessarily, right? But it's the thing that I'm doing in order to be able to operate, and I will invest in my passion longer term. So you got to figure out that first thing first.
I would even say you don't have to figure it out, but you need to land somewhere. Right. Because even the conversation I had with the guy I was coaching this morning, he's like, I've been, it's been like 4 years. I mean, I'm back and forth and I can't make a decision. And we got to the end of the call and I'm like, okay, so what are you going to, well, I'm going to take the next week. And I'm like, bro, you don't need to take the next week to figure out what niche, like, where you're going to just pick one. You've already mentioned a couple out of those three. Just pick one. You're not gonna fail. What you might realize after 6 months is that I'm not really, like, this isn't it. Okay, so you're one step closer to, like, and then exactly what you're saying, Jeremy. Like, if you landed on a niche, like, I don't know if this is okay. Well, let's just land on one.
Well, I did internal comms. My niche became internal comms for, like, high-end fashion companies. That became my niche. Like, I didn't search out that niche, but, like, it became my niche. And now it's like, I do that, and that's my thing. It's not, I didn't start out like that. I started out wanting to make, like, TV shows and science fiction. Right. So what am I doing? I got, well, actually, the science fiction thing is kind of, like, not even something that I'm even focused on right now. What I'm actually doing is this other thing, which is the app. So the point is, you got the one side that's there and it's going, and it's just, the better you do, the more you do. And then the other side, you invest in something new, right? So, like, that's it. So you don't have to, I mean, it's nice to, like, you can proactively go out and try to find your niche too. Other times what'll happen is, like, you'll kind of just, like, fall into your niche, but, like, recognize that and then double down on that and triple down on that. Even if because I could have been like, I'm not super passionate about doing internal comms. It's not why I got into this. I'm going to spend more time doing music videos and character-driven dramas and things like that. I could have done that, but then I wouldn't be doing as well as I am now, and which means I would have way less ammo to put into the other thing. And then you haven't. That's the thing that I think, like, artists have a hard time, like, disconnecting their life juice and energy. Like, they don't want to pour it into something that they don't see an immediate fulfillment from. But it's really the right thing to do. You have to look at, like, a 5 to 10 year horizon, especially if you're young. That stability with something that's, like, tangibly lucrative at the beginning is so key. You can get so much more done over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years if you've got your base.
And that's why I think it's really important to consider having a side hustle. And when I say a side hustle, really what I'm saying is, hey, do the lawyer films or the construction videos that you're kind of like, you're not super pumped about, but like you've done them before, they're profitable. You're okay doing them. It's not your most creative or passionate work, but man, you could build a business and become the go-to person that's in that space, make a ton of money, create freedom, create opportunities to make decisions. Because if you're paycheck to paycheck, week to week, not sure where the next client's coming from, it's hard to decide, hey, I'm going to totally pivot and do this thing over here. It's like, well, good luck. In the meantime, my friend Brett Culp shared this with me a long time ago. He said, I think he lives by the 80-20 rule, where 80% of his work is focused on what he knows works and makes him money. The other 20% of his time when it comes to work stuff is he's got this side hustle going. And so he's always got, so your side hustle could be the niche that you really want to be in, but you're not sure it's profitable. You're not sure if it's sustainable or anything, but you're just so passionate about it. So let the 80% of your time be spent building this, this machine that might not be the most creative, but you can build some financial freedom from this. And then, when you look at 80-20, Monday through Thursday could be the days that you're spending on your regular business, and then Fridays are the day that you're playing in this with this side hustle, this other niche. That's how this brand Studio Sherpas exists today. That's how this podcast exists today, is because I said, what if I took one day a week and that was my focus time for Studio Sherpas? If I was just like here and there doing an email, sending out a thing, trying to create a course, trying to launch a podcast, and I was doing that Monday through Friday, my team would be like, bro, you're so distracted. Like you got one foot in here, one foot. Now my team knows, like, hey, Thursday, no meetings about Tell Studios or production stuff, unless it's like, client. It's like the only time they can meet. Otherwise, that's Ryan's day for Studio Sherpas. And I built a side hustle that, like, it's profitable. It's making me money and it's super fulfilling. I can't imagine like not having this thing because I stinking love it. So anyway, good.
No, straight up. And I think people need to be reminded of that. Because sometimes it gets discouraging. So, and that's the thing too, is like, I love what you said earlier, which is like, know what your guiding star is, right? And that way, like anything that you're doing that's not necessarily that, at least you can say, well, I'm doing this in order to build this so that I can build towards this. If you don't have even, like, if you understand that the stuff that you're doing that you don't love doing is a lot easier to digest if you're doing it within the context of building towards what you actually want to be doing. And if you forget that, then you start to get discouraged, and like, just don't forget why you got into it. And because because it makes it easier to deal with the crap, really. And I'm not only saying like doing the work that just whatever, like, don't forget why you're doing it. It's
so important to have that guiding star. Like, what do you really want, and to be able to,
that's it. And have a story in your head about how what you're doing now is contributing towards that, right? Like, there are all kinds of ways that there's even like, I had one prof where he would say, look, if you want to have a career in film, the best thing you can do is go work in a bank, and just work in a bank for 10 to 15 years, put a ton of money aside, and then like, and write movies and put not 10 to 15 years, do it for 5-6 years, put a bunch of money aside, and then get a couple $100K with a couple scripts that you've written. And, when you're 27, 28, get out there and like launch your thing for real. And, like someone who's sitting in a bank, just kind of like working, it's like you go spend your money on partying, because that's like the way to deal with the fact that what you're doing during the day is not that cool. I mean, I'm not trying to hate on bankers, but just like a lot of it is like numbers and Excel spreadsheets and all that. Like, it's less glamorous. Let's say it's very nice lifestyle and pay and all that, but like, it's less glamorous than like what we do, which is like doing different shoots, different gigs all the time. It's always different and stuff, right? So if you were like an artist, for example, you could go work in a bank for a couple of years, save up, and then like have some real ammo and juice, and then go out and like try to break through that that first stage, which is the hardest, traction to get. But if you had like the money and the time and the focus and the connections to other people with money too, like it's not a bad strategy. And again, like, so if you're there sitting for 7 years, like, moving Excel spreadsheets around and all that, but that in 6-7 years from now, I'm gonna go launch my career in film, TV, or commercial work. Then all of a sudden, those 7 years become a lot easier to digest, right? Because you know what you're doing it for. So you could even do that. 100%. You could even do that. Yeah, I wouldn't do that personally, because but it's not stupid.
It's an option.
It's not stupid. Yeah. Like, but you have to have the discipline. Yeah.
Jeremy, talk to me about this app that you guys are launching.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let's swing over to that. Okay, cool. So the platform's called Comparascope.com. Compara, so COMPARA scope, so SCOPE, so Comparascope.com. The idea behind this platform is for it to be a new way for buyers and vendors to connect online. So if you look at, because right now there's kind of like two ways that we connect. One is just through word of mouth, which is like the agency freelance, the agency word of mouth world, which is predominantly how it happens. And then you've got kind of like on the lower side, the gig marketplaces, right? So like the Upwork, Fivers of the world, which tend to be, it works for certain kinds of things. But for the kinds of projects that we do, it tends to sort of be like a race to the bottom sort of thing. And so the idea is that what Comparascope allows you to do is connect your portfolio of work to the platform. So you've got a work portfolio. Your portfolio is your calling card, right? In a lot of ways, like it's the best way to kind of prove that you're someone who can pull off the thing. If you've got a portfolio piece that you've done in the past that's similar to what the client's looking for. So you add your portfolio to the platform, and a bunch of vendors are adding their portfolios to the platform. So what we have is like a large shared portfolio of work. And on the buyer side, what they can do essentially is using some like descriptive prompts, like just essentially they can use their own words to fill in the blanks to describe like what it is that they're looking to have produced. So if I say like, I want a corporate video that talks about smart city technology in Detroit, made with red camera and talking heads and blah, 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 blah. So if I can basically say like, tell this platform what I'm looking for, and it'll search through the portfolio, like the large shared portfolio, and it'll find the portfolio pieces that match what it is that I'm looking for. And then I can just contact the makers of those pieces directly. So the idea is to like cut through the noise, not have like think about it. If you look on Google, Detroit video production company, just what does that experience look like? You're never going to find, like you've got a shopping list, and then you got to open up the websites. You got to see if they're appropriate. You've got to reach out. So this is the opposite. This is describe what you're looking for, find the right examples of what you're looking for, and then contact the teams that made them. So, that they can pull off what you're looking for because you literally found them through a thing that they made that matches what you're looking for. Roughly what the price range is. So essentially there's just so much time and energy spent around discovery and alignment in our industry. Just a ton of wasted time because because it takes a lot to get on the same page. And so Comparascope is all about solving the problem of us kind of connecting and getting on the same page without all the friction. And it's a new way to kind of connect both sides of the market. And that's Comparascope. Yeah.
Love that. Yeah, it's definitely helpful for people that are not niche down, right? They just do video production. They can do kind of a little bit of everything, right? And so I can put in my law firm, piece. I can put in my brand film. I can put in my event stuff. Yeah. But even for those who are niche down, people that are, that kind of own a space, then it definitely makes sense to use a space like that, or an app like that, because as people are searching, it's like, oh, well, these guys are the experts because this is kind of like all that they do. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, well, it's, and it's like totally free. So like basically it's free for both sides. So and it connects to wherever your portfolio is hosted, right? So you don't have to like upload your stuff or anything. Like if your stuff is hosted on like TikTok or LinkedIn or Vimeo, Google Drive, Dropbox, Frame.io, whatever, like wherever your stuff's hosted, you basically just add it. You just add the link, and then you just essentially like just quickly describe like what is it a good example of. So like some people who are niche down, for example, like you would add like 3 or 4 portfolio pieces, and that would probably be the entirety of your portfolio there. But at least anyone who's searching on Comparascope for your niche, the idea is that if you have like more pieces of content that are on there that like fit that criteria, then you'll show up in the search results better, right? Because you're more focused on that particular criteria. So yeah, it's I just think it's a much smarter way for buyers to navigate the web for creative vendors. And for vendors, what's cool too is like it's not like Fiverr or Upwork where like the platform like gets between you and the buyer, and like they want to take a percentage, or they want to like make sure that the communication happens a certain way. Like it just connects you, and then you can like take the relationship off platform. So it's just a lot less friction throughout the whole process.
And how are you guys monetizing this if nobody's like you said, nobody's paying for it?
Yeah, it's a good question.
It's
a good question. So how will we monetize? There are some free tools in the platform that people can use. If you want to use them a lot, then there's a subscription. So that's it. But they're unrelated to the network component. So there's 2 tools right now. One of them is called Scopes. And Scopes, essentially the problem that Scopes lets you deal with, and again, like people who have sort of like productized their offering, this is less relevant. But for those who do like pure bespoke, a big problem that we run into is just the questions like, how much do you charge for a video? That's like, it's so for me, for example, like I do pure bespoke. So I deal with all kinds of different budgets. Like I don't productize my service. So how do you deal with that question, which is how much do you guys charge? Well, the answer is complicated, right? And it ends up being a long conversation. And so this is a tool that lets you answer that question in the most effective way possible, in a way that really doesn't take a lot of time. It makes it very clear what your video can cost depending on the decisions that you're going to present to the customer. So it helps you put it's kind of like these interactive web pages that connect directly to the work example database that allow you to sort of give people an understanding of what it is that they could get depending on what it is that they want to spend, and they can really see what the difference is, and you can create these very quickly and share them with whoever. And so it's great. In particular, it's great when you're working with someone who's not the decision maker, who has to propose, who has to educate the final decision maker, and you can't get to them. So this is something that you can give to them that allows them to sort of inform the person above them without being an expert themselves. That's the one thing. And then the other thing is versions. So versions is another thing that I run into all the time, is sharing work in progress, right? So you share a work in progress because you need approval on certain components so that you can build on top of it for the next like stage of post-production or whatever it is that you're doing. So, some people do a whole thing and then share it and then they'll go back. I like to kind of share in stages. The problem with sharing in stages is that you're showing something that's not done. And so for people to kind of get a context of what degree of progress this piece is at when you share it is also a big conversation. I used to find that I would send like these kind of like long email blurbs saying like, well, the sound's not done, or like this is the first pass of the edit. And like, I really want you to focus on this. Like, don't think about this, blah, 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 blah. Ultimately, this is a way to kind of share work in progress and provide context for the fact that this isn't a final thing, and I need you to focus on this aspect or this aspect. Don't think about this aspect. I just need an approval on this because I need to know what you think of this before I can go ahead and implement these workflows, because if it turns out that you don't like this, I'm going to waste a ton of time. And then that's going to cost us both. So and it helps you kind of share those work in progress in a way that, it's very clear to people visually what parts of this project are completed to what degree. It's a progress visualizer. It's a better progress visualizer for your work in progress. So those are the two tools. They're not expensive. I don't know what we're going to price them at, but they're not going to be like large B2B SaaS tools. Sure. It's going to be comparable to like the Vimeo subscription or whatever, something like that. What we're used to paying like for these kinds of things. But again,
when are you guys hoping to launch?
So it's there. Comparascope, comparascope.com. If you go on it now, you can create a free account. You can add your portfolio. You can connect from wherever your thing is. You can describe your portfolio pieces. It takes, anywhere from 10 to 15 seconds to describe a portfolio piece. So that's another thing too. Like people, like when people tag the way we're set up essentially is like, you provide like 5 or 6 tags, and then those tags kind of in our database of tags connect to all kinds of other qualifiers and ways that people have of describing things. So like, I might say like, oh, I have an information video, and someone else will call it like an educational video. But like we have a whole relationship database of terms on our end that kind of that translate all of the different ways that you can describe the same thing in the creative industry. So you don't have to think about how someone else might be describing it. You just describe it in your own words, and someone who's searching on the other side, who's searching in their own words, will still find what you added. So that just makes it a lot simpler for people. So essentially, when you add a piece of your work, it takes 10 to 15 seconds to kind of qualify it, and then it becomes findable for anyone who's searching the web, trying to find content that matches what it is that you're good at, or that you have a track record of doing. So that's all there. And then scopes, you can use scopes. I mean, the free version's there. Versions is going to be out by the end of the year. And then next year we'll really kick it off and start promoting it aggressively to all kinds of different vendors, and as well as our existing clients. So our existing clients on the B2B side will be the pilot clients. So, LVMH is one of my clients, and then EssilorLuxottica, which is the company that owns Ray-Ban, Oakley, Costa, Persol, like basically most of eyewear is another client. So those would be the ones to start with. On the business side, and then hopefully we'd expand from there. Yeah.
Awesome. Dude, that's great. Super appreciate you sharing that. Good luck on the launch or the whatever.
You're always launching.
The growth of all of that.
Yeah, it's a progressive launch.
How can people follow along with the work that you guys are doing, obviously with the app and just the production stuff, and if they want to get in touch with you?
You're more than welcome to get in touch with me. My name's Jeremy Thibodeau. You can find me on LinkedIn. My name's there. And then Comparascope on LinkedIn. We're not pushing across all the different platforms. We're really just focused on LinkedIn for now. It's more than enough. There are, tens of thousands of business-minded video producers on LinkedIn, and all of the clients are also on LinkedIn. So we're really just more focused on LinkedIn for now. We'll expand to other platforms later, but I really believe in starting with one platform, doing very well on it, and then moving over to other platforms as you find the thing that's working. So LinkedIn's the way to get in touch for me. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool, brother. Well,
Thanks,
appreciate
Brian.
your time. Thanks for being here, and
Thanks,
good luck
Ryan.
on all of the things.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Hey, thank you so much for hanging out on this episode. If you want the show notes, you can go to studiosherpas.com/354. Don't forget about the AI resource, all the tools and things that we're using to speed up our workflow and create more value for our clients at studiosherpas.com/AI. If you have feedback, thoughts, things about this episode that you liked, didn't like, would love to hear from you. You can email me directly, ryan@studiosherpas.com. If you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, leave a comment there. Let me know what your big takeaway was, and would love to just hear what's going on in your business, and if there's anything specific that we could talk about on this show that would be helpful for you. That's it, my friend. Thanks for being here. I will see you on the next episode. Bye for now.